Okay. Now, in our previous lecture, we'll be able to solve question on CVP with single product, right? I'm here to upload the last part, which is question 10. So I will add it with this particular section so that you go there, you watch that number 10 again so that you have an understanding of that, right? So in today's class, we shall be looking at the multiple products of CVP, which is the cost volume profit analysis, right? Now, the only difference between the single product and the multiple product is the weighted average, just the weighted average. Because whenever you want to get either the sales unit or the sales in value, you have to include the weighted average and as well as the mix, right? Now, we will look at that in this particular question. You can see that in this question now, it is what? It is a multiple product question. Why? Because there are two products here. Now, the first thing for you is to read the required. Now, number one required says that determine the BEP in unit for each product, which means we need to determine the BEP in unit for each of these products, right? Two, calculate the BEP in value. We need to determine the BEP in value. If a profit of 45,000 naira is desired, calculate the sales in unit and value for each product, right? So that is targeted profit. We still remember our formula. The only thing that will change is the weighted average. Refer to original data. If the mix changed to 160,000 for P and 40,000 for Q, compute the revised BEP and the revised total profit. This question is very simple, right? Adopted from the ACCA study what? Study text, right? As well as ICANN. Now, when you look at this question, you will look at it that, oh, it is a single product, right? Now, suggested solution. The first one is BEP in units. You know, we still remember our formula, right? The BEP in what? The BEP in units. Now, the question now is, what is the formula? You know, our usual formula, this is a multiple product, right? So now, our usual formula, number one, which is A, the A is what? BEP in what? What was the question? You have your material with you, please. Just be looking at BEP in unit, right? BEP in units. Now, since it is multiple products, BEP in units will be calculated at fixed cost, right? Fixed cost divided by the weighted, since it's units, right? Don't forget that when you want to calculate unit, you divide by contribution per unit. Don't forget what we did under what? Under the single what? Under the single product. Now, instead of saying that, oh, divided by the contribution, instead of saying that, oh, you divide it by what? Contribution. No, you will not divide it by contribution here. What you will use to divide this is what? The weighted average, because it is what? It is a what? Multiple product. Average, weighted average contribution, right? Contribution per unit. Like I said, the way I solve PM, right? It is, if you go and check these rules, it will be totally be different from the way I will do it in class. Do you know why? Because I always want to simplify uh, uh, every topic I want to take. I always want to simplify it. Please, this particular question, I don't want you to cram it. You don't need to cram, right? You don't need to cram the formula. Don't forget the logic. When you are looking for units, you use fixed cost divided by contribution per unit under the single product. Now, since it is multiple product, it will be what? Fixed cost divided by the weighted average contribution per unit. You use weighted average. It will be weighted average. Now, the question you should ask is that since you are looking for unit, now the first thing you need to do is that since you are looking for the BEP in unit, and it is weighted average contribution per unit. Now, what will be the mix? What will be the sales mix? You need to get the mix. Mix means that the percentage ratio. Now, let me take you back. Because it is unit you are looking for, you need to get the sales mix. Now, class, you need to do what? Get the sales mix. Don't forget that Ado PLC produced two products, P and Q. Product P is sold at 8 naira per unit and Q is sold at 16 naira per unit. Budgeted income for the month is detailed at the sales, the variable cost, the total contribution, fixed cost, as well as the what? The profit. Class, you need to get the weighted average they talk about here. The weighted average means, when you add, let me use someone as an example here. When you add Precious and Balogun together, let's say when you add Precious and Balogun, you have is equals to 2. Class. Now, what is the ratio of Balogun in the total of that 2? Class, what will be the ratio of, let me use another example. You have 2 products, and that two products cost you 10 naira. That is 20. The total is equals to 20. Class, what will be the ratio of that product A in the 2 products? It will be 10 divided by the total, which is the 20. Class, that is the ratio. That is the weighted average they are talking about. That is the ratio. Class, let me repeat this again. You have 2 orange, right? Then 2 orange is equals to, let's say, is equals to 3. Now, what will be the percentage of 1 orange in the total of that 3 orange? It will be 1/3. The second one will be 1/3. That is how it is. Is that not so? Now, that is the mix they are talking about. So, since the question says you should look for units, you need to get your sales in unit mix. You need to get your sales in unit mix. That is what will form part of your weighted average. Right? Now, the question is, how will you calculate the sales in units? Now, you were given the selling price. Class, you can see another way. You were given the selling price and the total sales. For you to get the sales in units, you need to divide your total sales divided by the selling price per unit. Class, when you divide your total sales, let's get sales in unit. Let's quickly get sales in unit first. Sales in unit. Let's get the sales in unit equals to the total sales. What is the total sales? What is the total sales for P? Is 40,000. What is the selling price for P? Is 8 naira. You can see you can use this to get your sales in units. Class, you can use it to get your what? Your sales in units. Class. Now, if that is established, so this is what? 40,000 naira divided by 8 naira. 8 naira per unit. Don't forget that this is 8 naira per unit, right? Per unit. You can see when naira, this is for P, right? Now, when naira cancel naira, you have units. Class, what is the sales in units? Class, give me the sales in unit quickly.
5,000 units.
5,000 units.
12,000.
5,000
5,000.
Thank you. 5,000 units. Now, you've gotten this 5,000 units for P. Check your material is P, right? Now, you still get the sales units. Okay, what is the total sales for the second one, which is Q? What is the total sales?
160,000 naira.
160,000 naira, right? Divided by, in case you are
16 naira per unit.
Thank you so much. You have the material. You can see that this is 60 naira per unit. Can you see it? 60 naira what? Per unit, right? Now we want to get the sales in units, right? Now, before you can calculate your weighted average, you need to get the mix. You will see how we will get the mix now, right? Now, it is what? 16 naira per unit, right? Now, when you divide it, 160,000 divided by this. What do you have? What is the sales in units, class? What is the sales in units?
1,000.
units.
1,000.
10,000 units. 10,000.
Okay, 10,000. 10,000 what? 10,000 units, right? And this is for Q. This is for Q. This is for 2. This is now the total. Now, the total class. What is the total? The total is
1,000 units.
15,000 units, right? 15,000 units. That is the total class. The weightage that you want to calculate, the mix that you want to calculate, class, what would be the ratio of product P in this total, right? That is the mix we were talking about, class. Now, you can see that product P is 5,000 units. What will be the mix? It will be 5,000 divided by 15,000. We give you the mix, the sales mix. Why do you have to use sales mix? It is because the question says that BEP in units. That is why. If it is value, you need to use sales value mix. Class, are you getting it? Now, you need to, it is mix. Mix means that if this is the total, right? This is the total orange is 15,000. Now, how many percent will P have in this unit? It is 5,000 divided by 15,000 units. We give you the percentage that P we have in the total of 15,000. Now, what Q we have will be 10,000 divided by 50. We give you the mix, the percentage of Q in the total, right? That is what we call weighted average mix. So when the question says that under the multiple product, you have BEP in units, look for the sales mix units. Sales unit mix. You look for the mix, right? Now, so therefore, we come back to this place, right? Weighted average. Before we go that, okay, now we've calculated we've gotten the sales mix, sales in unit, which is the mix, right? We've not even calculated it because it is 5,000 units divided by 15,000, we give you the mix. 10,000 units divided by 15,000, we give you the percentage of Q. Is that not so? Now, don't forget that this formula says contribution per unit, right? Contribution per unit. So whatever thing you want to have after your mix, you multiply. You have to get contribution per unit. So therefore, we need to get contribution per unit for P and get contribution per unit for what? For Q. Now, let's start. Let's get that first again. Contribution per unit, right? Contribution per unit. Now, let's go back quickly. So how do we get contribution per unit? So this is the total contribution. Is that not so? This is the total contribution, right? This is the total contribution. Who can give me? So if I want to get contribution per unit, I will divide this 10,000 units, divided 10,000 naira divided by what? 10,000 naira divided by what? 10,000 naira divided by what? The first one.
The
total contribution.
This is the total contribution. The contribution for P is 10,000 naira. Now I want to get contribution per unit per one.
That's
The first one is 10,000 naira. The second one is 80,000 naira. Is that not so? So I want to get contribution per unit for P now. So what will I use to get that?
10,000 naira divided by 8 naira.
8 naira.
8 naira per unit.
No. 10,000 divided by 5,000.
Thank you. 5,000 units, because you already calculate your units already. Is that not so? You've gotten the units already. Is that not so? So therefore, it is 10,000 divided by what? The unit, which is 5,000 units. Now, 5,000 what? 5,000 units, right? 5,000 units. What do you have? What is the contribution per unit? What is the contribution per unit? Class?
2 naira.
Who is that person? For me, you too. 2 naira per unit.
2 naira per unit.
Now, The next one is Q, right? Q, what is the total contribution? 40,000, right? 40,000. Class, what is the unit? 10,000 units. You can see that in this question, unit is not given. We have to use the totals. This is what they will be testing you on in CVP. Sometimes unit will not be given to you. Just think that, oh, if you have selling price per unit and you have total sales, definitely sales, selling price per unit, naira can cancel naira. Definitely you will have units. Is that not so? You can think and get your units, right? Now, what do you have?
Sorry, sir. For the Q is 80,000 naira, not 40,000.
Okay, it's 80,000. Thank you. I'll go back to confirm that. So what do we have?
That's 8 naira per unit.
8 naira per unit. So let's quickly confirm the contribution. Okay, it's 80. Okay, it's 80. That's fine. Thank you. Thank you. Now, this is this. Is that also now, class? Are you still with me? Now, what we want to do is to get this weighted average contribution per unit. And how do we solve that? The question says that BEP in units. The first thing you need to do, get your sales in unit mix. Get your sales in unit mix. Get it like this. Calculate it out. Just calculate your unit. Get your unit, right? Just analyze it this way. Get your unit first. Now, once you get that unit, you will now say, what next is contribution per unit? Because the question say BEP in unit. If it is value, get the sales value. Do it this way and get the value this way first. Is that not so? Now, the next thing is contribution per unit. Get your contribution per unit. Now, what is the next thing? Is for you to match these two together. Your unit as well as your what? Your contribution per unit. Now, therefore, class, weighted average, weighted average, what is this now? Weighted, weighted average, right? Contribution for the two products per unit is equals to, now, let's go there. Open brackets, class. Now, the mix now, the first one is the units. You deal with the unit, which is the P. Is that also, you now say 5,000 units, class, divided by the total units, because you want to get the mix, the percentage of P. Is that also, the total unit is what? 15,000. Now, when you divide this now, we give you the sales in units, the mix, the percentage of P in the total of 15,000 units. Now, you will now say times, what is the contribution per unit? Because it is weighted average contribution per unit. It is the contribution per unit for P is 2 naira per unit, right? 2 naira what? Per unit, right? Now, when you get it this way, you will now say plus, because you need to get the weighted average contribution of the two, plus Q. This is the Q. So what is the mix there? You will now still do 10,000 units divided by the mix. You divide it by the total, which is 15,000 units. So for you to get the mix, right? 15,000 units, right? Now times, right? Times, what is the contribution per unit for Q? Is 8 naira. 8 naira. Now, 8 naira per unit, right? You close the bracket. So this will give you the weighted average contribution per unit for the two products. For the what? For the two products. Class, if it is value, you are, okay, we'll get to value. Class, class, are we still together? I need to confirm that. Are we still together?
Yes,
Are we
sir.
still
Yes,
together?
sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, thank you. Now, What do we have? What is your weighted average? What is your weighted average contribution per unit? What is your
6.
weighted average? Is what?
6. 6
6.
naira.
Who is that? Who is that now? 6 naira per unit, right? Right? It seems you are just joining us for the first time. 6 naira per unit, right? 6 naira what? Per unit. Class, the weighted average for the two products is weighted average contribution per unit for the two products is 6 naira per unit.
6
So
naira.
therefore, thank you. Therefore, the BEP in units, BEP in units for the two products in units is equals to your fixed cost. Don't forget, this is the formula. Fixed cost divided by the weighted average contribution per unit. And we have gotten the weighted average contribution per unit for the two products. Class, for the what? For the two products. Quickly, what is the fixed cost given to us in the question? Quickly. The fixed cost is 54,000 naira, right? So the fixed cost is 54,000 naira divided by what? The weighted average contribution per unit. And what is the weighted average contribution per unit? 6 naira per unit. That is the, do you get? So that is the weighted for the two products, right? So this will give us, let me just copy this. So class, so what will be the BEP in units for the two products? Class, what will be the
9,000 units.
90,000
9,000 units.
9,000 units, right?
Units.
So this is the BEP class for the two products. But the question says that you need to get for each of the products. Class, what will you use to get each of the products? Is the mix, is the sales in unit mix. You need to separate P, the percentage of P from this 9,000 units. You need to separate the percentage of Q in this what 9,000 units, right? So therefore, P equals to, now you need to, what is the sales? The sales in units is 5,000 naira, 5,000 units, sorry, divided by the 15,000 units. When you divide 5,000 units divided by 15,000 units, we give you the percentage that P we have from this 9,000 units. Is that not so? So 15,000 units, right? So it will give you the percentage. So once it gives you the percentage times the total 9,000 units, right? We give you the portion for P. So when you get the portion for P, automatically you can get the portion for Q, right? Because the question says that the unit for each of the products, right? So you will use the sales in unit mix, right, to get the percentage of P. So once you get the percentage of P, multiply it by the units so that you will get for what? For P. So you do the same thing with this class. So 10,000 units, right, divided by 15,000 units times the 9,000 units. So what do we have, class? So what do we have?
For P, we have for Q, we have 6,000 units.
Okay. 6,000
Then
units, right?
Yeah. No, for Q. That's Q.
Okay. Q,
we
yes.
have 3,000 units for P.
Okay, P. So if you get 3,000 here, automatically you will get the balance of 6,000 here, right? You just minus 9,000 minus 3,000, you move on again. 6,000 what? Units. You can see that when you add these two together, you have what? 9,000 units. So see, class, when you divide these two together, we give you the percentage of P. We give you the percentage of P in this total here. So you now multiply, you now get the one for P. Is that not so? Now let me quickly go back. You can see the step. The question says that the BEP for each of the two products. First, what is the formula? Fixed cost. Normal, if it is single product, we say fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, we move on. But since it is multiple products, two products, you need to get the weighted average contribution per unit for the two products first, and which is what we did, that gave us 6 naira per unit. Now, how will you get the weighted average? Now, since the question says it is units, you need to look for the mix. The mix means that this is the unit, sales in unit mix. Mix means that 5,000 divided by 15,000 units. What is the percentage of P in this total of 15,000 units? It is 5,000 divided by 15,000. We give you the percentage of P. 10,000 divided by 50. So that is what you need to get first. Once you get it, you now come here and say, oh, what next? Contribution per unit. Get contribution per unit for each of the products. Now, once you get contribution per unit for each of the product, the next thing is to merge these two together. Your mix and your contribution per unit. Add everything together. Get your weighted average. You know, the BEP that you now calculate here is the total for the two products. Now, the question is that how will you now separate it? Just look for the mix. The percentage you got when you say 5,000 divided by 15,000 units. What is the percentage of P in that unit? Multiply it, you get your BEP. Multiply it, you get your what for the Q. Then you move on. Class, do we understand? Are we still together?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, what is the next? We've already solved this question, which is question. Who is that? Any question? Okay, if you are just joining us, right? You are just joining us. You just have to. Ibrahim, if you are just joining us now, please don't ask me question, please. Ibrahim, if you are just joining us now, don't ask me question. Okay, unmute your mic. Hello.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, for BEP of multiple products, is this formula fixed cost? If we want to get the break-even point in units, is it fixed cost or the weighted average contribution per unit? Is that the formula? Because the one that we are familiar with before, for the single product, fixed cost all over contribution per unit.
Okay, that is just the difference, yes. So when you are looking for, if it is multiple products, it will be fixed cost divided by weighted average contribution per unit. Per unit, since you are looking for BEP in units, what did you normally use to divide? It is contribution per unit. Is that not so? Is it not contribution per unit? It is contribution per unit, but since it is multiple, it will become weighted average contribution per unit. And that is the formula. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So the next one is the B part. Calculate the BEP in value. Class, it is still the same process. Calculate what? The BEP in value. Now, in this value, instead of looking for the mix for the value, for unit, it will be for value. And that is it. So instead of looking for the mix, the way we did the mix here, right? You will just use value. Instead of unit, you use what? Value. Now, let's take a look at that now. B, right? BEP in value, right? So what is the formula? Don't forget that if you want to look for BEP in value under single products, under the single product, it will be fixed cost divided by contribution per unit times selling price per unit, or the fixed cost divided by CMR, which is the contribution margin what? Ratio. Is that not so? Now, since it is value here, right? We will not say, since it is value, our fixed cost still remain. So divided by, instead of using CMR for us to get the value, just under the single product, you just divide it by CMR, right? But now, since it is multiple products, you will now still add your weighted average, weighted average, CMR, right? Why do you have to use weighted average? It is because it is a multiple product, right? Ideally, if it is a single product, you would have just used fixed cost divided by what? Divided by CMR. So let's go there. Just like the way we did the first one, we still do it. We still do the same thing. So now, since you are looking for the BEP in value, now you need to get the sales mix in value for P. Now let's go there. What is the total sales for P? What is the sales for Q? What is the sales for Q and P? What is the sales? You can see 40,000 naira and 160,000 naira. Quickly, so we can have, what is the first one, Seth? What is the value?
40,000. Please, 40,000 naira.
40,000
Thank you.
and
40,000 naira and
160,000 naira.
160,000 naira. Now, class, what is the total? The total here.
40,000.
Thank you. Okay. So the total here is
200.
200,000. Thank you. Now, what is mix? Mix means that, since, why do you use value here? It is because the question is saying BEP in value, right? So what will be the mix? Mix that means that you say you make total sales, you make sales of 40,000 naira, and the total sales is 200. What will be the percentage of P in the total sales? Is that also? It is 40 divided by 200. We give you the mix, the percentage of what P contributes to the total sales of 200. That is what it is, class. Now, if you have identified this sales value here, now the next thing is for you to check for your CMR. You've identified the sales value just like the way we did units. Now, the next thing is CMR, just like the way we did contribution per unit. Now, our CMR, we need to get the CMR. What is the formula for calculating CMR? Equals to contribution divided by sales, right? So let's get the contribution divided by what? Divided by sales. So for P equals to, so what is the CMR? Contribution divided by sales. Quickly, class, we don't have time. Contribution, what is our contribution for P?
10,000 naira.
Is this divided by 40,000. Is that not so? Thank you. So we move on. 40,000. Contribution. What is the contribution? Sorry.
10,000 naira.
10,000 naira. Now divided by. So I told you that. Thank you. I told you that. Please don't cram. This is CMR. Is that not so? CMR. C means contribution. M means margin. M means margin. Margin means what? Sales. Is that not so? When you they say CMR, you say C is contribution. M margin, sales ratio multiplied by 100. You move on, right? Now, what is the sales here? What is the sales? What is the sales for P?
40,000 naira.
40,000. Thank you. So what is the mix now? What is the contribution margin?
0.25.
That is 25%, right?
Yes.
Good. 0.25. So the next one is Q. Thank you. The next one is, what is the contribution for Q?
80,000 naira.
80,000 naira. Thank you. You have the material. Divided by, what is the sales in value?
160,000 naira.
160,000 naira. Chris, are you in this class? Chris. Chris, are you in this class? I'm not sure, Chris.
0.5.
Okay, I'm coming. Chris, see this guy. In this case. Okay, 0. What? The second one,
5.
0.5.
Yes.
0.5. That's 0.5.
That's 50%.
Okay. 50%. Okay. That's fine. Now, you've gotten
Yes,
the
sir.
what? Thank you. You've gotten the CMR. Is that also? So now,
Yes, sir.
BEP in value is equals to, now the fixed cost. What is the fixed cost? Quickly, what is the fixed cost?
54,000 naira.
54,000 naira, right?
54,000.
Thank you. Now, let's get the weighted average first. Let's get the weighted average before we. So now, weighted average CMR is equals to. Don't forget, you've already gotten your value here. Is that not so? So, open bracket. The value is 40,000 divided by the total value, which is 200. Why do you have to use value? Because the question says you should look for value times the CMR for P, 0.25. You close the bracket.
Yes, sir.
Or you say plus. The next one is 160,000 divided by 200,000, right? Times the CMR, which is 0.5. What do you have? What is the weighted average CMR?
$0.45.
0.45. Please confirm. Next one. So since you've gotten your weighted average CMR, you've gotten your weighted average CMR already, right? You've gotten your what? Your weighted average what? Your weighted average CMR, right? You've gotten your weighted average CMR.
Savvy people. It's for me and just easier.
So you've gotten your weighted average already, right? Now, BEP in value is equals to fixed cost. What is our fixed cost, class?
54,000 naira.
Thank you. God bless you. 54,000 naira divided by the weighted average CMR. Is that not so? So what is the weighted average CMR? 0.45. What do you have? Class, what do you have?
120,000 naira.
Okay, 120,000. Now, this 120,000 naira is for the two products. Is that not so? Just like the way we did, who is that now? Please mute your mic. Now, just like the way we did the units, is that not so? Now, you can see that this 120,000 value is for the two. Is that not so? Now, for you to get for each, just pick the mix. Just pick the mix. Just copy this and say, oh, then when you divide it, it will give you the percentage of P, right? Then times the 120,000, just like the way we did the units, right? 120,000, what do you have? Then Q. Let me just copy this. The mix. When you divide this, we give you mix. Mix means that the percentage of the value in that, right? 120,000. What do you have?
For P, we have 24,000.
So 24,000, just minus 24,000 from 120,000, we give you the one of Q sharply.
For
96,000 naira.
2,000 for Q.
96,000. You can see when you add these two together, you have 120,000. Is that not so? And it's as simple as ABC. And that is that. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what next? Okay, now, the next question says that if a profit of 45,000 naira is achieved, is desired, calculate the sales in units and naira value for each product. Don't forget, what is under the single product, when they want to, this profit is before tax. Under the single product, what is our formula? If they want to achieve a profit before tax of this, what is our formula under single products? Which formula do we normally use? Under single product, you want to check your notes, Abby? Fumi, are you in this class? Where is Precious?
I think that should be fixed cost plus the profit before tax divided by WCMR, I guess.
Why will you be guessing?
Because I've moved my
Units
notes.
under the single product. At this stage, you should not guess. So since you are guessing, you are not. So just remove yourself. Just stay like that. They guess, they play. I beg, backward, Joe. I beg, someone else should give me the formula. If you like, for me, I'm seeing you. You are checking your notes. Okay. Where is Precious? Precious. Yeah. Oh yeah, now give me formula for under the single product. If you want to determine the sales in units to achieve profit before tax of so amount, what is the formula? Class.
That's fixed cost. Let's fix it.
Fixed cost plus target profits. What about the CMR?
CMR. If you divide it by CMR, are you looking for value or units?
If you divide by CMR, value.
Okay. Hold on. I'm coming. Fumi.
Yes, to get it is fixed cost plus targeted profits over weighted CMR.
No, I mean I want to get the units. Normal under the single product. Just give me under the single product. What is the formula?
Targeted profit all over contribution.
So you said fixed cost plus profits after tax divided by
Before tax.
Divided by contribution.
Interesting.
Let me try. For profit before tax.
Don't try.
Okay.
Okay.
For us to get profit before tax, so we have
profit in units.
Fixed cost plus profit after tax divided by 1 minus tax rate.
No, that is not what I said. The question, I'm talking, if it is profit after tax, we know. But the question says, if a profit is this, and I said, if you want to calculate this on that single product, what is the formula? If a profit is this, the question did not tell you after tax. It is before tax. What is the formula?
Okay, fixed cost plus targeted profits all over contribution per unit.
Okay, that's fine. So we have to check our notes, right?
No, sir.
I always say something, right? That for the past 3 diets, I've not been taking PM at all. But Just tell me something now. I will let you know. Do you know why? Because some things there are some things that we don't need to cram it. We just need to understand. Now, I asked a question that this is profit before tax. If it is after tax, they will actually indicate it. And I said, under single product, what is the formula? Someone gave me fixed cost plus targeted profit after tax divided by contribution. Another someone still give me fixed cost plus targeted profit divided by contribution. If you give me that thing in exam like that as formula, -1, right? Because the formula is fixed cost plus targeted profit before tax divided by contribution per unit. If you give me that kind of formula, I'll just say -1. That is it. So now, since in this question, it is for multiple products in unit first. So when you want to get in units under the multiple products, you just say fixed cost plus targeted profit divided by weighted average contribution per unit. Just add weighted average, right? Now, don't forget that since we are to determine the units to achieve profit after tax of 25C. Okay. Sales in units to achieve profit before tax, right? Is equals to fixed cost plus target profit divided by weighted average contribution per unit. Do you know why you add contribution per unit? Because you want to determine the unit class. Contribution per unit. Okay. Now, in this case now, don't forget that we have already calculated this already. We've done that early. Copy it. We've done this weighted average contribution per unit. Let me scroll up so that you will see it. Weighted average contribution per unit. We've done it before in the first. You can see weighted average contribution per unit. Can you see it? Weighted average contribution per unit is 6 naira. Is that not so? I don't need to do what? I don't need to calculate it again. Is that not so? I don't need to calculate it. It's 6 naira per unit, right? I'll just move on. Right? All these questions here, okay. Right? I'll just move on. Equals to what is the fixed cost? What is the fixed cost, class? What is the fixed cost?
54,000 naira.
54,000 naira. Okay, 54,000 naira, right? Plus the target profit. What is the target profit, class?
45,000 naira.
Good. 45,000 naira. Let me show you. In case someone will ask me, like Ibrahim now, how did you get 5,000 naira? See it before you ask me a question. Can you see it? Okay. So now, this is 45,000 naira, right? So that is the target profit. Now, divided by the weighted average contribution per unit. We've calculated it already. I think we would not done it. We would have do it again, right? You can see 6 naira per unit. 6 naira per what? Per unit. So divided by 6 naira per unit. So what is the total sales?
500 naira per unit. 16,500 naira per unit.
16,500 units. I will not use 16,000 naira per unit. Do you know why?
No,
Naira
sir.
has already cancelled naira here. When you add these two together, what do you have? Divided by 6 naira. When you naira cancel naira, you have only units. Is that not so? Class.
Okay.
Is because, do you understand? You are looking for units. So this is the sales in units for the total. But we need to get for each. We need to get for each. For each of the words, for each of the products. P. Right?
Yes, sir.
Q. Right? Now, it is still the sales mix class. The sales in units. Sales in units. So copy your sales in unit mix. Right? Copy the sales in unit mix. Let's go back to our formula. You can see it here. This is it. So mix means that the 5,000 anytime they say unit sales in units, right? Under the multiple products is the mix first. Is the mix times before you now say, oh, this is what you want to do. Is that not so? Now copy this. Since it is unit, since it is a unit to class, if it is value, you copy the value, right? Times 16,500 units. We give you the percentage for this. So you still do the same thing. The sales units please, if you don't know this formula, oh, in my next class, please don't even bother to join the class. Please don't bother to join the class. Oh, if you don't know this formula often, if I ask you, you don't know it, I will just tell you to leave. Please, I will just tell you, please, just respect yourself. Just leave. If you don't know these formulas, go the single product. I ask you, single product, multiple product. I ask you, you don't know it. Please, I will tell you to what? To leave the class, please. Right? Now, what do we have here? Quickly.
For P, we have
5,500
5,500 units.
5,500 units. Class, I'm not angry, oh. Class, I'm not angry, oh. You get, we are still together now, Abba. But I just need to, you know, I just need to put some kind of, we need to understand some things, right? So even if the class is free, we need to understand that, oh, I also have a principle, right? And I don't want to start it. I just want us to move like this, right? I don't want to start all those kind of principle stuff, right? We are both professional colleagues, right? Please, you must know
So
this formula before the next class. You say
11,000 units.
11,000.
11,000 units. All right. Yes. Please unmute your mic. If you have a question, feel free to ask your question, okay? We are together. Tell your village people, go and tell them. You must pass PM. You must do what? You must pass PM. Tell your village people. Okay, let me quickly